Robert.
Yo, what's shaking AC?
That was a short one. Are we
That
in
was
a hurry
fast
today?
and to the point.
Yeah, let's get right to the point. Okay, well, you want to do that?
Okay, if we can get right to the
Okay.
point.
Okay, well, people will appreciate that. We'll probably get more people actually paying attention. Okay, so I thought it would be fun. We just got off our what we call the OG Play Bigger call, which is basically a mastermind of emerging franchisors that have been in a group together for now, I don't know, 3-4 years, where we get together regularly and solve uh, people's challenges that they're working on, really moving them forward in their business. Today was a great conversation about training franchisees. And I think I would say one of the biggest takeaways and or validations was that there, the amount of training, it kind of can't be too much. Like it. And I remember my dad always used to say, train, and train some more. So the question was about, I'll just frame it up a little bit here for our giant audience. That the question was, like, when you're training franchisees, can you focus on both, like, how do you get them to learn the operations and the business skills or business stuff that they need to learn at the beginning? Because if you don't get that stuff sorted out, they're like all over the place. They're not off to a good start. Like, how do you do that? How much do you need to do? What are the best methods? Who does the training? Those were, I guess, all the things that came up in the question. Am I missing anything?
Oh, you got it. You got it. There's a whole bunch we talked about.
Yeah. So I think, well, tell me what you think about the amount of training that needs to happen that you have experienced as a franchisor. And then I can tell what we did back in the day at M&M, which, yeah, it's different because we didn't have like learning management systems and things like that. But the amount and the ways we trained, I think there's some relevance there that I can share in a minute.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think first of all, the training should be broken down into two sections. One should be operational, one should be business training. And from an operational standpoint, I think it's important that the length of training is enough so that you can conceivably think of anything that could happen has happened over that time period multiple times. So, for example, with Control V, one of the things that always happens is our Saturdays are super busy. So somebody needs to experience a Saturday. They can't just come in Tuesday through Thursday to learn the POS system and then be on with themselves. In fact, they have to experience 2 Saturdays. They have to experience a slow Tuesday so they know the different things that could be done, right? And so the person who is responsible for the operations, which in our system is the franchisee because we're not an absentee system, they're there learning the operations. They've got to come in. It has to be in person. They got to roll up their sleeves and they need to do it, right? Then you've got the business training. This, I think, is almost endless. This could go on and on in the form of coaching into perpetuity, especially if you have great coaching, because there's always going to be things that come up. But one thing that really, we were talking about how to do this training, whether it's in person, for how long, virtual, all that sort of stuff. And the one thing that I was thinking about is I'm almost losing faith in autonomous virtual training. Okay. And let me be clear. Like if you want to go get a new degree in archaeology, that's something you're passionate about and you do it virtually from a university, you're doing it autonomously and you're contributing your time and your passion towards that because you want to do it. But oftentimes what a franchisor will do is they'll say, okay, this is the easy stuff. This is stuff that they just need to listen. I'm going to put it into a session and they'll listen to it on their own. And I don't think that works. I think there's a big misnomer in the business world that if you create a video, somebody will watch it and they'll retain it. And I think they're wrong. I think virtually you can do it, but I don't think it can be autonomously. I think you need that trainer there along with them to do it, especially if it's business principles. Because oftentimes a franchisee will come on board because they're passionate about the business and the operations, but learning things on how to reconcile bank statements or whatever, that's not what they're in there for. This is just stuff that needs to be done. So if you put a video in front of them and say, watch this and you'll know everything, you're setting yourself up to fail from a training standpoint.
think there's I would say there's probably some content that you can do that way though, with like as long as there's questionnaires and things that quiz to see if they retained. Like what if there's like information that was given and then like a questionnaire to say like, to just check if they caught it.
That's possible. We do that at Control V. But I don't think it's as effective as everyone thinks it is, because oftentimes it's missing the passion. That person needs to be passionate about learning about that. If it's just a necessity, then it's not effective.
Yeah. I think also what probably maybe you're getting at too is that just that in-person hands-on doing the thing. And that's like when you talked earlier about your training and you said the amount of time that they're there and experiencing a Saturday. I just want to make sure that people understand what we're talking about there is like on-site training, on-site, not just training, but practicing. I remember just kind of going back to even like when I was a franchisee and we had staff, the best way for them to learn how to work behind the counter and serve customers was just to put them behind the counter. Like we could sit there and train them all day long and train and just like show. But the training of actually doing it, like the practicing training, was so much more valuable. Like just start talking to customers and see what you know and what you don't know. And then we would do some actual product training and then they'd go work again, like as kind of a mix, right? Just on that note, for people that are listening, the way we did it, and I don't know, I think I'd still do it the same to this day. There would be some component for sure of there'd be some theory type training that I think with questionnaires and things just to, that they could go back and look at again and again. But as far as the in-person, we had 2 weeks at our corporate training center, which meant they were going in and out of the store, working in the store, and then maybe like after a certain number of hours going and spending some time in the training center, sitting down with the business coach on, how to read a profit and loss statement or creating a marketing plan for in their community. What were they going to go do in the community? Then the next day back in the store. And like you said, experiencing a busy day, experiencing a delivery, experiencing a slow day, like learning by experiencing. And then so they would do that, and then they would go back to their home market, and then their store would be getting built out, and then the field training team would show up and do 2 weeks with them hands-on. The first week before they opened, getting everything up and running, ensuring that they're ready to, like, they're putting in orders, they're training staff and all that. And then 1 week of a soft opening before the grand opening. Again, we had 2 field trainers on site. Just there to be helping them out, getting them going. Then once the day before the grand opening hit, the next level, the field consultant, which is usually called a franchise business coach. Now that person would show up and stay for a week and continue to be there. So I guess the point is, I think people underestimate the amount of like on-site practicing training that needs to be done for a franchisee to be really confident at, especially the operations of the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you never know what might come up. Like you could sit down and train them on a POS and say, okay, here's how you put through a sale. 1, 2, 3, that was 15 minutes. You're good to go. Okay, now they're out on their own and someone comes in and says, I want to pay with a gift card. Actually, I want to split it between a gift card, a credit card, and debit card. Actually, I want to do a refund that was paid for on credit card, needs to split on. I can't use this gift card online because the serial number isn't matching up, or like so many things can happen.
Yeah. And just to clarify too, I think that's once they're trained on that, then there can be hotline support for that as well, where they can call and get help from your own help desk, or if it's a POS system, sometimes they'll have a help desk. And then then the business coaching is the proactive coaching, where we're going to go, what are your goals? Where are you trying to get to? Let's reverse engineer what steps we're going to be taking to get there. And we're going to meet with you regularly to check in on whether you're hitting roadblocks, hold you accountable to that. So, those are 2 different things. And we talked about that as well in the call, that a lot of people will do that like you're doing it right now, where you'll have a business coach, and then you'll have that person that's available for hotline support for operational challenges. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, well, hopefully there were a couple of nuggets. That time is just flying by, but I think you've got some cool stuff you got to go do. So we should probably wrap it up.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Go be awesome.